The fact that we disagree is not insurmountable.
You be who you are, I'll be who I am, and we'll find a way through together.
Amen. Preach, preacher.
I was holding this thing together out of a fear of the institution failing, not for love of my children.
I think being in a relationship with these 11 people has changed me.
What would it mean if all of the polarization, fragmentation, and conflict were actually this amazing opportunity for the gospel?
It's a story about love. Can people actually love each other beyond tolerance?
That's a holy thing.
Whoa, that's a look at the new documentary entitled Leap of Faith. The film follows 12 pastors of varying theological and political persuasions from Grand Rapids, Michigan, as they are brought together on multiple retreats in an attempt to find common ground on issues such as gender equality, racial tension, and political polarization. Joining us now, Leap of Faith director and producer, award-winning filmmaker Nicholas Ma, and his father, acclaimed cellist Yo-Yo Ma, who has performed at special screenings of the film. Thank you both for coming on. Nicholas, congratulations on this. I'm fascinated to hear the pitch of this. How did you do that? But more importantly, where were you surprised and found success and connection, and perhaps were there failures along the way?
Sure. I mean, I think the failures are necessary for the successes, right?
Yeah.
We're so afraid of failures that often we sort of shy away from trying the thing that seems hard. I sort of think about the movie as almost a little bit like having children, right? You know, you dive into it and you have no idea what's going to happen. And everyone tells you it's hard, but it's beautiful. It's hard, but it's beautiful. And I feel like that's what these pastors found, that it was hard, but it was actually beautiful. And I think we need that right now because so often we feel like these differences are chasmic and we can't cross them. But they managed to find a kind of wholeness. You know, I mean, I grew up going to my dad's concerts, and that kind of wholeness that at the end of a concert, everyone feels and looks around and they're like, I don't know you, I don't know what you're thinking, but I know we're feeling the same thing. Somehow that's what these pastors achieved at the end of this year together.
Nicholas, I grew up in the Pentecostal church as a boy preacher, and I knew a lot of ministers growing up that just believed if you didn't follow the dogma exactly the way they believed, you were going to hell. How do you reconcile people that are just my way or the highway with this kind of spirit that you're trying to bring about in terms of reconciliation?
Sure. I mean, I think there's always going to be a chunk of people that don't think that engaging is a good thing to do. And that's a really hard thing to contend with. But I think it's a much smaller group of people than we believe, right? In 2016, one in 6 family members stopped talking to each other because of the election, right? And at the same time, after the screening on Monday, I know 4 families that reunited, that found each other again. There is a way back. There is a way through. And I think when we sort of assume that people don't want to engage, we assume the worst of them. And we can't imagine loving them, and we can't imagine that they could love us. But that possibility of staying in relationship is really, I think, what it's all about. It's what we're all about as a country, and it's what, you know, this film is all about.
Yo-Yo, beyond being the proud father of Nicholas and playing at special screenings of the film, I was wondering whether, and Nicholas referred to it a little bit there about music, and whether you have seen an increase in polarization in your audiences in the United States over the last few years, and whether you feel that the music that you play has that ability, as Nicholas described, to bring some sense of transcending political divisions amongst people.
Yeah, I think that's such a wonderful question, because as I was watching the film, I was thinking, you know, essentially the pastors were building trust amongst themselves. And I think the ritual of concert, performing, is not unlike a sacred ritual where you're there, first of all, to build trust. You can't perform with fellow musicians without trusting one another. And secondly, there's something that's almost, between secular and sacred in a performance venue where that does not tolerate dissent because we're under a larger umbrella. And I think, by the way, happy birthday, Rev. I think it's so wonderful that we're all together in this group. But I was so what I felt watching the film was that there are a lot of people who are confused and lonely these days. Our Surgeon General says we're having an epidemic of loneliness. And what it did for me was the film brought me hope and solace. And that's exactly what I hope happens when I perform. I hope that answers your question.
Well, the new documentary, Leap of Faith, premieres tomorrow in theaters nationwide. Director and producer Nicholas Ma and acclaimed cellist Yo-Yo Ma. Thank you both very much for coming on the show. Congratulations on this. We appreciate it. And that does it for us this morning.